What's up, freaks? This is just me, and today we're gonna be ranking the 8 mandatory poses, including the most muscular, of the Maryland muscle machine Kevin Levrone, from worst to best. And we're gonna be considering the poses throughout the bodybuilder's whole career. If a pose was strong for them when they started out, but later they fell off and couldn't beat nearly as many competitors in it anymore, that pose is not gonna place as high, right? That's fair. So let's get into the video, but first, I'm gonna talk briefly about the magnificent Kevin Levrone. He was a talented bodybuilder from the 90s and 2000s. He was one of the best of all time. Consider, for instance, he placed second at the Olympia 4 times. And although he never won a Sandow himself, many people think he's an uncrowned Mr. Olympia. He was famous for his crazy delts and triceps, which were all among the best the world has ever witnessed. Okay, and now get into the poses. In my opinion, the weakest pose is gotta be the back double biceps pose. Now, he doesn't look terrible, but he doesn't look great either. If we make our way up, the legs from the rear don't look that big, and the glutes, for the most part, were pretty good, but really, they were not gonna help him as much in this pose. It has to be said, the hams, though, are sliced and diced. They are really good. Good job there. The main problem, though, if you want to call it, has to be the back development. The back is a little too shallow. It was never one of Kevin's better muscle groups. His traps are great, I'll give him that, but the lats could be slightly better, and the lower back doesn't look top notch either. The delts are impressive, but possibly a bit too overpowering, making the back look smaller and weaker. He's got good arms, but he lacks peaks in his biceps, and they're not eye-catching. And there's something weird about this pose. He looks to be hitting it somewhat oddly. I can't really describe it, but he looks pretty uncomfortable in it. That being said, this pose still looks fine. Seventh is rather surprisingly the ab and thigh. I didn't expect the ab and thigh to place this low, but hear me out. The lower body could certainly use some size and crisp details to match the upper physique. But the waist is trim, the six-pack is respectable, pretty nicely formed and separated really good. The lat taper is also impressive, so especially upstairs, Kevin is money in this shot, if you ask me. When he hits the side ab and thigh, you can note some good obliques in him. Sharp too. I think he looks massive and decently aesthetic at the same time, so kudos to Kevin Levrone. This is certainly not one of the Maryland Muscle Machine's strongest position, and it places low, but it still looks good. It's just Kevin looks so incredibly impressive in so many more poses. For instance, the front double biceps, which we got next. I feel like Kevin lacks a bit of flow in this pose, to be honest, but all the body parts are on point. True, the Marlin Muscle Machine's wheels could use more size, even in his prime, and later on they became a weak point for him. But that goes for all poses, so it's not a problem in this particular pose, right? His waist looks small, the abs look pretty great, and a nice V-taper. But from this angle, the chest looks a little flat, if you ask me, especially compared to the giant front delts of his. The arms are big and conditioned, but the biceps have a bit of an odd shape, as I mentioned in the back double biceps. They look long instead of peaky, making them appear a bit flat. He doesn't look bad, but for sure he's got better poses, right? Like for instance the front lat spread, which finishes 5th. In this pose, the lower body rarely matched up to the upper body, as we already established in the previous poses. The waistline is small though, so the balance isn't bad at all. The chest looks good and the wings look more than decent as well, and that's why the pose looks great and pretty powerful, although sometimes a bit asymmetrical. And moving on to fourth, the real lat spread, in which Kevin was even surprisingly strong. Again, he doesn't have the best legs, but he's got insane thickness going on in his lower lats, and his traps also look tremendous. He's wide, and his delts are popping out in a very unique way, so he's got a very effective pose. There's a flaw though. You can notice it on the right in particular. Kevin's lats appear to be asymmetrical. Each looks a bit different, which is a little distracting, but it's still not too bad, and this is a money shot for Kevin. But let's proceed. I award the side triceps the third place position in this ranking. This is a great pose, and it's because it would basically always have worked regardless of the execution, thanks to the Maryland Muscle Machine's fantastic triceps development. He had some of the meatiest and most pronounced and outstanding horseshoes in bodybuilding history, and he knew how to present it pretty well too. His execution could use some improvement for sure, but at least Kevin's midsection was always in check. The arm was not always fully extended, so that could use some work to bring up the triceps horseshoe even more. But regardless, the whole arm appears to be super thick and muscular and also well defined. The shoulders were one of Kevin's strong points, of course, and they also look amazing, and even his legs don't look too bad at all from the side, even though that's another feature that could be improved. The overall pose looks very dominating and works super well for Kevin Levrone. And now in the runner-up sits the side chest pose, which was a pose that Kevin was absolutely knocking out of the park for the most part, and he was really able to make it work and have an impact. He looked beast-like with his humongous delts that look so outstanding in this pose, as do the triceps, which look full and separated and almost peaky, so the whole arm looks very freaky and big. It definitely also helps that Kevin has a trim midsection. Now, it also has to be said his pecs would need more fullness and better development to match the enormous shoulders and arms, but it's not even a problem at all in my eyes. His chest doesn't look weak at all, if you ask me. The other body parts just look a bit stronger than his chest. So despite not supporting one of the best chests of all time, Kevin does have one of the best side chest poses, largely due to the way he's hitting it, which was a masterful and absolutely on point. But the first place prize goes to Kevin's freaky most muscular pose, which was such a powerful pose for him. He's probably the best to ever do it. That's if we're talking strictly just about the hands clasped version, which he was fond of hitting the most. Kevin also did the crab, and it was a good one, but not nearly as impressive as the hands clasped, so he wasn't as versatile, if we're being honest. But he looked like a superhero in this hands clasped. Look at the sloping traps, the boulder delts, they look so round and capped. The triceps sweep is insane. The biceps and forearms look just right. The chest is a little squeezed and could be more proportionate, but looks completely fine if you ask me. And the midsection is well separated. The lower body doesn't even matter in this pose, just look at the upper body. He looks so freaky and beast-like, and complete as well. So, guys, that's all for my ranking of Kevin's mandatory poses. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below what you think about it. Do you agree with me, or would you have it completely different? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch some Kevin Levrone videos, and also like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day.